what I am going to talk about in this video is going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable for me to say, since I have never told this story with all of these details to anybody else. And it's gonna be uncomfortable for you to hear it because it's a topic that, in my opinion, we don't talk about enough. And I think that is a big issue because not talking about it, it gives an opening to these predators to be able to operate. These things happen way more often than anybody could ever think. And I'm not talking about statistic I have read. I'm talking about my personal experience. And 7 to 8 of 10 girls have to go through something similar. This doesn't happen only to girls. This happen also to boys, because these people, they don't get off out of, it's not about sex, it's power. The power they have over these children. It doesn't have to necessarily be a girl. Boys aren't safe either. And the thing is that it's very hard to talk about, because when you are, I'll say, the victim, but I don't think anybody who goes through something like that feels like a victim. Nobody wants to feel like a victim. So it's not about victimizing the person that is being abused or molested. It's about recognizing that these men are out there and they are way more than you think. And anybody can be a predator. Anybody can be a pedophile. Anybody can be a rapist. You won't recognize it. You won't see it, the signs on that person that will tell you they're going to commit the act or they have already done it. You won't see it. You maybe think you will, but you won't. And that will be the biggest mistake. Thinking you can recognize the signs, because you can't. You won't, and they will keep ruining people's life out there. So, as you can already imagine what my story is about, I was molested when I was a child. I was molested by 2 people. One was a family member, and when we start with him, he was, because he's dead now, he was my grandfather, which means he was my grandmother's father. I don't remember the timeline. I don't remember how old I was when this happened. I know I was younger than 10 years old. My grandpa moved with us because he was sick. Until my 12 years old, I lived with my grandma and my mother. She raised me for most part. And so she brought her father to our house when I was very young. He was sick, so she was taking care of him. And then that's how everything started. I think he was the first one, but I'm not sure. Because, as I told you, I don't remember the timeline. I just remember this happened to me. And I remember some of the episodes. Guess I remember the ones that were most significant to me. And so this man was always in bed. Most of the time was in bed because he was sick. And he would call me to him and make me sit next to him. And then he'll ask me, well, his favorite thing to do was making me sit on his face. So he will with his mouth he will do, I guess, oral sex on me. Then another time he did try to put his fingers inside my intimate parts, but he couldn't because I was too young. So the fingers couldn't pass. And that day, he asked me how old I was. And I remember I lied because I knew that question was going, my answer to that question was going to lead to him raping me. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to be raped. I knew that that was going to hurt me very badly. So when he asked me how old are you, I panicked, and the only thing that I remember I had in my mind was just like, lie to him, don't tell him, go as far as possible from your age younger. I don't remember how old I was at that time, but I do remember I lied and I told him I was younger than my actual age because I was afraid if I told him my real age, then he will try to rape me. So I told him I was less, and then he told me what I was trying to avoid, which was that if I was 12, then he could have sex with me. Then after that, we were alone in the house, completely alone. He was in the living room, and he called me to him. He was sitting on the couch, and he told me that because he had done that thing to me that so many times, then now I own him. So because I owe him, I had to do it to him too. So he put his pen off, he got his dick out, do a blowjob on him. I don't know what I was doing. I couldn't say no. Or at least I thought I couldn't say no. It was disgusting. It was really disgusting. But I thought, like, the faster I do this, the faster it's finished. So I didn't complain. I just did what I was told. And I think he died soon after that. So that was over. And then the other one this one is spicy one because he is still alive, living his life like he never did anything. Nobody knew about him until recently. I'll say a couple of years that I told it to my mom. So this other one was my neighbor. His name is Nicolas. He's pretty much alive. He lives in Cuba with his wife, his daughter, and his son. His daughter is 2 years younger than me, and he was my best friend when I was a kid. We used to play together all the time. We were always together, pretty much. And I was often in their house, especially at dinner, because we were playing outside, and then she was called back home for dinner. I wasn't called back to my house. So I was just going back to her house with her. Sometimes I'll dine at their house. Her mother will invite me to dinner. And then those times that I'll dine there, after dinner, they used to go to the room, to the bedroom, and go all like a family watch TV all together in the same bed. You'd be the two kids in the middle, a wife, and the husband. And since I still was there because nobody was calling me back home. I didn't have many rules when I was a kid, and I wasn't very followed. So, yeah. While they were all watching TV, this man, would call me next to him. So, oh, sit here next to me. They went out, sit. Will put his arm around me, and then from the other side, he will start touching me. My private parts, of course. He'll touch me. And I don't know if his wife knew, or if she ever realized what he was doing, or if she knew and she pretended she didn't, or because she was a very submissive wife, or if she had no idea. I don't know. I just know that this kept going on until one day I went to my friend's house calling for my girlfriend, and she wasn't there. This man was, and he called me inside the house. When I came in, I noticed he was alone, and I started to panic, and I knew that being alone with this man was dangerous. So he called me inside the house, and again, what am I going to do? I just stay. He was an adult. I was a child. If he called me inside the house, he go inside the house. Nobody ever told me not to trust men. Nobody ever told me not to let a man touch me. Anyways, he called me inside the house. He sit on a chair. He called me. He made me sit on his lap. And then, like if it was the most natural thing in the world, he asked me, "Do you like men?" Honestly, this is so disgusting. I don't even know what I think he was doing. But I panicked there and I answered. I was shaking. I was very afraid. And I answered him, no. I think he saw the panic in my eyes and in my face. And for the first time, he realized what he was doing. Because I think before that moment, he really thought that whatever he was doing to me, I was consenting to and I was enjoying when I just was a child. My family wouldn't talk about sex ever. Like it was in my family, sex was a taboo. So like it was so not talked about and so prohibited that even my grandma, when she was watching something on TV and so something sexual will come up, she would just hurry me up to the bedroom and close me there, close the door behind her and leave me in the bedroom and see what she was watching if it had sexual scenes in it. So sex was never a topic, not sexuality, not my private parts. I had no idea what was it until I think the age of 15. That's when I realized what happened to me. Because before that, I didn't know I was being molested. I didn't know I was being abused. And honestly, it never became a trauma until I realized what was actually happening to me. When I realized, when I was old enough to know about sex, when I was old enough to know that adults shouldn't have any type of touching or nothing to any minor under the age of 18, that was punishable by law. When I learned that, I was molested and I was abused by pedophiles. That's when the little light went on, and then is when all of my problems started. I hated my family for it. I blamed them. I blamed them for everything, for not noticing, for letting it happen, for not taking better care of me, for not being more present parents. My grandma did what he called, and he was my mother. I have beautiful memories of my grandma. I will never forget. And she was bottle feeding me on this chair that, these chairs that you take when you have babies that go back and forth, back and forth. And she had this chair in the bedroom, and she would bottle feed me on this chair, and then she would caress my face and caress my hair, and I have these memories of her that are so beautiful. I love them. I love those memories. I cherish them. And I will always. My mother, I guess she wasn't there. But we'll talk about my mother in another video. That's another topic. It's a very important topic because that's today. I think my biggest trauma is my mother and her inability to actually be a mother. I did tell my family. I started from 15 years old. I started having depression problems. At 15 I attempted suicide. It was my first attempt, and this was one of the reasons why. Because I couldn't get it in my head, why this happened to me and why so close, because it wasn't whoever, it was close to me. And like many times that he was doing this to me, there was people home who would just call me to his bedroom, but the other people was home. So how they didn't know how this happened under their eyes, under their nose, and they never noticed a thing. So for me that was just like, I guess they don't really care about me. And that was my thought. Then another trauma was when I told them. I told first about my grandpa because he was dead, so that was the easiest to talk about. So their reaction they had when I told them, they dismissed it. They just said it wasn't his fault because he was sick. He was an old man. He was sick. He didn't know what he was doing. Well, I did it for a long time, so to me, it seemed he knew what he was doing. It was the worst possible reaction they could have ever had, and anybody can ever had when something like this happened, and the person that it happened to tells you about it. What do you think is going to happen? The person that actually was abused is gonna start blaming themselves, because if it's not his fault, then it means that it's my fault. That he did it because I let him do it. And that's a shame that is always going to be there. And it's why so many women that have been abused as a child or have been abused as an adult, they don't talk about it because of the shame, because of the fear of being blamed for not stopping it. Even as a child, that was a shame. That was a reason why I never talked about it. And do you imagine you already feeling all those things and you having this big secret with you for so many years, and then one day you say, all right, fuck it, I'm going to say it, because they can do nothing if they don't know, and then you say it, and they say, oh, but it wasn't his fault, it wasn't grandpa's fault, he was sick. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that cancel what he did? It makes him disappear? It doesn't. It doesn't. And the fact that that's your reaction, like, is a trauma itself. Because if that's your reaction, how much did you ever care about me? That knowing something like that just is whatever. Well, that's my family. And the other one, piece of shit, that's still alive, is pretty much alive. The reason I told my mother was because he used to talk to this person often on the phone, like a video call kind of thing. At the time, like this period, when I decided to tell her, I was struggling with drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and I was just at the bottom. Guys, that I was really deep into it, and I needed help to get out of it because with addiction, nobody, I think nobody can actually help you if you don't want to help yourself, and that um goes to everything. Whatever you're struggling with, or even depression, if you don't want to get better, you cannot get better, and you won't accept any help. And but at that time, I was struggling. I was addicted to drugs, and I was an alcoholic, and I knew um I wasn't able to get out of it by myself. I needed help. I needed support. I needed a support system, and I needed someone that will give me straight to just fight this thing, and be there with me when I was fighting. So I was kind of getting closer to my mother because of this, and I was trying to ask her for help, but I didn't know how to ask her for help because she never wanted to help me in life. So, but at the same time, that was my only choice. I lived alone by that time, and I used to go often to her house when I was off of work or after work, because going to her house was a way not to consume, not to get high. So, but I'll still drink. So one day I was in her house. I had, I think, 1 or 2 beers. So I was really drunk. But that time, I'll get drunk with just 1 beer. I was so fucked up already. Like my body was just so under stress. My mind was so under stress that 1 beer, I was already off. I was really drunk. She was talking to this person, this man that used to touch me when I was a child. Every time she was talking on the phone, she would just like do this thing of taking the phone and kind of force me to talk to the person she was talking to, even though she's talking to the person, not me. And I hated the thing, um, especially because I let's say that when I moved out of Cuba when I was 12, I took the opportunity to kind of um, become a different version of myself, a version of myself that would stand up for herself and that would stand up for other people. If the chance was presented to me, I when I moved out like of Cuba, I saw it like as a new beginning, as like a start fresh, leave everything that was rotten, that was wrong behind me. So don't get me wrong, I have beautiful memories with my family, especially on summer. My aunt, she used to go with her family, with her daughter and her husband. All every summer, they used to just go on a road trip for Cuba, visiting different cities of Cuba. And they usually brought me with them, especially because my cousin was a year, 2 years older than me. So it was nice for like to keep each other company, let's say. So I love those trips. I love those summers with them. It felt like being in family, and it was lovely. We saw so many beautiful places, and we had so much fun. So, and I love those memories. I cherish them too, like as the memories with my grandma taking care of me, and whenever I wasn't having a crisis, because I did have as a child too, many um episodes where, like, for example, especially when my mother was traveling, because she was traveling to Europe and this and one, she will go away for months. And especially when this happened, I will have like episode of um aggression. I'll become aggressive, and so I have these memories. I I was a very sweet girl, very sweet, but um sometimes I remember, like, um I started to have fights at school, and I I remember one day my grandma was waking me up in the morning, and I beat her really badly, and then she sent me. So my mother wasn't in the country at that time, and then she sent me to my aunt's. So I was just like back and forward between my family most of my life. So my mother was talking to this person on the phone, and she thought it was funny. She got the phone and she was like, "Oh, look, talk to talk to Nicholas. He's at the phone. Why you don't want to talk to him?" And whenever she does that, she did a few times, and whenever she would do that, I'll just try to hide, like in the bathroom, or hide somewhere that I didn't have to see that man, and I didn't have to. He did. I didn't want him to see me either. I didn't want to see him, and I didn't want him to see me. And for my mom, that was just me being like, you know, I'm like being anti-social and being like just not a nice person. So I was a problem. That's why, because I am such an antisocial and not nice person, and I she always thought I have superiority complexes. That's why the reason I will react like that. So one day that she was I was in her house, and a friend of her was there, which is my age. She has a friend that's my age. Um, and then we were having beers, and she started talking shit about me for some reason. She just started saying something about that of the cause, that I never wanted to speak to anyone. Every time she's speaking to someone from Cuba, I mean, when I left Cuba, I left all that shit behind, and I didn't want to have to be reminded of it. But anyways, that day, because of what she said, and because I had a couple of beers on me, I stopped her and I told her, "No, you got it all wrong. I don't want to talk to this person, not because I am superior, because I live in another country now, and because I have better chances of a better life. I don't want to talk to this person because this person used to do this and this and this and this to me when I was a child. And I don't want to see this person, and I don't want this person to see me either. It is nothing um, okay between me and this person." What a shock for her. She opened her eyes. She was like, "Oh, where? I didn't know it. I didn't know anything about this. So how could I know?" I was like, "Of course you don't know. But that's the reason. It's not because I'm a bitch." Yeah. Ay, ay, ay. She is a bitch. Incredible. So yeah, that's how I told my mother. I don't know if the rest of my family knows. I have no idea. Or maybe they say between them that I'm just lying. They always had a really low opinion of me, especially since I began to having mental health issues. And that's the first time I tried to commit suicide. Every time I had an issue, the solution was always to send me to Cuba. That was always the solution. So yeah, that's what happened to me. That's how I told my family, and that's how my family reacted. The thing is that you say like how that influenced you. Well, first of all, if you're asking yourself how that influenced me and my life growing up, I'll tell you that changed everything. That influenced how how I think, how I react to things, how I approach people, how I see men, my ability to trust men, and my ability to trust people in general, because it's not about just men, it's about who you trust. If you cannot trust your family to protect you, who are you going to trust? And if everything you knew was abuse, neglect, how are you going to choose your lovers, your friendships, everything? That affects everything. That shapes the person that you become. How you choose to, the people to let into your life. When the only thing you knew all your life was that kind of relationships, then the chances that whenever somebody approach you and is a bad person, you let them in because that's what you're used to. That's what you know. That's what you always had. So you see it as normal. What you see as abnormal is the opposite. Is people caring for you? Is people asking you about how you're feeling, how you are, and to caring for you? That you see it as weird. That you see it as like, why is this person so caring? Like, what's wrong with them? Because there must be something wrong with them. Is that if they are so invested and interested in me? I mean, that's not normal. That is not normal. If you're not so used to it, that is not normal. Everything else is normal. My first, I remember my first consensual, let's say consensual, because I was a teenager, but it was consensual. I remember my first sexual, um, my first sexual experience, which I consented to. I was 14, and he was at 20 years old, 28 years old man. And he used my teeth to jerk off. Not 14. And none of my schoolmates or friends or people I knew were hanging out with men so old, so much older than them. I was the only one. And at that time, I thought just because I was mature, I wasn't mature. I was just like following what I knew. That's what I knew. That older men with kids was okay. So I always liked men older than me. That was my first time. Then at 15, another 27-year-old. Then always older than me. And then I had a relationship for 2 years with a 49 years old man. I was 19 when I met him. He was 48. And yeah, I had a 2 years relationship with this man that abused me emotionally and sexually. What was really going on? I didn't. I know now that he was just another piece of shit. 28 years older than me. And he abused me too. So yeah, that is how all of that influence you. It just keeps coming in and coming in and coming in, and sometimes maybe you think, why this always happens to me? Why this always happens to me? Why It has to always be me, but the reality is that it's not always happening to you. Is that you are so into this thing because you are lacking in such a lack of a healthy relationships in your life. You're lacking healthy relationships in your life so much that you don't know how to recognize an unhealthy one. Because for you, an unhealthy relationship is the only relationship you ever knew. So that is a normal relationship for you. A healthy relationship, you don't know what it is. And it's most probably is gonna feel wrong. The healthy relationship is gonna feel wrong when the unhealthy relationship is gonna feel right. And that is how this affects a victim's brain. And it's very hard to rewire your brain to be able to function as a normal person, because I have never felt normal. Never. Not when I was a child, not when I was a teenager. And I guess I was never really normal because I'm telling you, this happens way more times than you can imagine. And I'm telling you this out of like, I have met, especially from Cuba, unfortunately, in third world places like Cuba, where I grew up until the age of 12, and when I was 4, this is just normal. This happened so much that for women it's just normal that happened to them. Like I have here stories, like I have of other women, like many other women that have gone through worse things. Like what happened to me is vanilla compared to what other women have experienced personally as a child, as a teenager, or as an adult woman. And I'm talking about some of them being raped, gang raped, and that happened like that. It happens like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. And nothing happened to these people that commit these crimes in Cuba. So I personally consider myself lucky. I think that what happened to me wasn't even as bad as what happened to other girls. Like when I was a kid, I used to get together, me, my cousin, and another girl from my same street, from the same neighborhood, that she also was being abused by a man that worked in farmer market that was near my house, near our houses, because we lived in the same street. So he would just call her into this room and do things to her. And we used to talk about it and just compare things and tell each other what happened to each other and what this man did to us and stuff like that. And that for us was normal. So yeah, when this is what you know as normal, and then a normal person, and then a real normal person comes to you and try to just have a real normal conversation with you, and you say like, I don't even know what to talk about. I mean, what am I going to tell you? I mean, we have so different experiences in life that I cannot relate to anything. Influence how I process information, how I react to things. and then you grow up and you realize that you're just broken, and there is so many pieces of you that you try to put them together, but it's almost impossible. Like, it's so hard to make a whole person out of it. It's really hard. Well, I'm filming this video for two reasons. Because I am tired of keeping these secrets for the sake of other people. Because it's doing nothing to me to keep it. It's just consuming me from the inside. And I'm being honest here. Like, it's just why this happened to me? Why I have to live with all these memories inside my brain and just not talk about it? Why? It's not definitely to protect myself. Is more like to protect my family that is can be affected by it, or this man that still lives his life normally, or his daughter that probably never knew. um but who knows? Definitely keeping it inside of me, and not talking about it is not gonna help me, because my own mental health is pure shit. And yeah, I'm just tired of keeping quiet to protect other people's feelings. So that is one of the reasons that I'm deciding to talk about this. And the other one is because I'll make other videos talking about my relationship with my mother, that affected. Um, I think is the biggest influence into my mental health and my troubles and my issues, with depression and self harming and stuff like that. But I'll make a video dedicated to her completely. That's another topic. And I wish that whoever watched this video, if is going through something, or um, have experienced something similar, just feels the courage to talk about it and to stand up for themselves. And if this can make you feel like you're less alone, and then there is someone like you. Hope for this is to be able to create a community where it feels safe to talk about it, your traumas and your pain and your experiences that hurt you and shaped you, or at least part of you. And so yeah, that's my biggest hope. So if this can help someone else, um I couldn't ask for anything better. And that's it. If you want to stick around and want to see other videos, subscribe, and yeah, give a thumbs up so that my video can reach more people. And that's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And yeah, see you soon.